Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. I hope everyone is fine. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. This is Ahmed Abu Mu'adh with you from here, and we have a special guest today. First of all, just want to check how many people are there. You can see us. So can you give us any hint? We just wait. How are you guys? We're just waiting for more people to join, inshallah, and give us indication how many people are there. First of all, just want to... Okay, I'm just going to put this down.
Alaikum salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Okay.
We're doing good.
Alaikum salam wa rahmatullah.
How is it going? Rayan, you can I'll unmute you. How are you, Rayan?
Unmute it. Assalamu alaikum. How's everyone?
Wallah, alhamdulillah. How is it?
How's everyone doing? I hope that everyone's in good health, inshallah.
MashaAllah, MashaAllah.
Alhamdulillah. We're doing good. Lockdown, what can we do?
When was the last time you guys...
Sami, كيف الحال? How you doing?
Alhamdulillah, man. It's good to see you, man.
Good to see you too.
It's been some time, yeah? You haven't seen each other?
Yeah, it's been a while. Subhanallah.
It's been a long time, yeah. Subhanallah.
Subhanallah, subhanallah. Okay, good. So it's good to see each other now, huh?
Alhamdulillah.
Absolutely. Alhamdulillah.
Excellent, excellent. Good, good. How are you doing with exercise? Do you go out sometimes, sneak a little bit just for a walk?
Go for walks, inshallah, yeah. Just go for some walks in the park.
You do that, yeah?
Tesco exercises. Supermarket exercises, yeah.
Yeah, that's definitely, that is so true.
That's good. All right, so you guys are ready for today? We're going to have a talk. I don't know, what do you think of the title we put on the poster? We said...
It's a good title, mashallah.
That's very good. I believe it's like something that it definitely will relate to us, you know, because when we came here, it was very young, you know, and, you know, subhanAllah, having those mentors around us and growing up. And now we're doing it. It's just, you can definitely relate to it, subhanAllah. It's so
100%.
true.
So true.
Yeah, I mean, I'm amazed by the experience. You guys, I remember you when you were really young.
Yes.
So, you know,
I think me and Rayan, we met each other through Al-Aqsa as well.
Yeah, we did, yeah.
That's how we first became friends.
If it wasn't for Al-Aqsa, we would never meet.
SubhanAllah. So you think it's bringing so many people together, yeah?
Definitely. The community, the Eritrean community.
Yeah.
You know, like things like this, maybe in school and other things, but if you want to integrate them within their own community, Muslims, Eritreans, just generally like that, then this is the big, great way to do that.
Yeah, it's a very good platform because I think we started as obviously our local Eritrean community, subhanAllah, then it's just expanded and becoming it's coming open now to anyone can join, you know, and majority of the kids now, they all go to the same school. So they know each other. You spend 5 days a week in school and, you know, weekend on the park.
Go back to history. I mean, do you remember, guys, when was the first time or the first stage of your life when you came together? Was it a youth club? Or what was it exactly at first? Tell us, Sami.
It was football. And
there was quite a lot of stuff going on. There was like number 30 as well, the masjid. They had weekend classes.
Okay, I think you guys are over speaking, so we'll have one at the time. Otherwise,
the sound's going to be...
Yeah. So,
okay.
Who want to go first?
Sam, you go first.
Faisal.
You're going to do rock, paper, scissors now.
Yeah, you guys, if we give you democracy, you're gonna mess it up. So.
Yeah, I'll start. I mean, for me personally, how it all started, it's a very long time ago. It was 2003. Yeah, 2003.
How old were you?
I was 16.
Okay.
Yeah, at the time. Yeah, 16, 17 at the time. Yeah. And what it was when we first started, it was a case of basically, you know, the oldest wanted to play football, and obviously they don't have enough numbers, so they asked the youngest to join. So it was us joining them, and then before you know it, we're calling our friends to come along, and obviously, and you know, some of the oldest, obviously they have nephews and you know, like they brought them along with them. Then we started to integrate, and they started to, like, you know, have a community there. And then it become from once a week to twice a week. Now, like, it was a Sunday morning, then it started to be on the summer period, it was on a Wednesday afternoon. And then it started to grow from there. And then obviously, the more you start to hang around with them, the more.
Which park was that, Sammy?
We started in Clapham Common Park at first. Yeah, so it was literally there.
Watching, they will relate now. They will.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah, no, I mean, I believe everything started from Clapham Common, to be honest. And then from there on, it just literally, we moved to Larco Park. Then we moved back again to Clapham Common. And then, yeah, I mean, majority of the period of time, it was always in Clapham Common. I think this is before Nagashi Center time. So
yeah, talking about at least 5 years, maybe around 5 years before.
Yes, before it came along, absolutely. And yeah, I mean, then at the time, I think that was the only place that would be able to actually have interaction, you know? That was the only time, because without that, there was no other youth club, or there was no other youth activities, you know? Maybe we do a mukhayyam once a year, or we do halaqa every now and then, sort of thing. And obviously at that period of time, everyone's at college and, you know, starting to finish up college and is going to go to uni. So it was becoming a little bit difficult. So we never really had a base. But subhanAllah, as the time has progressed, and, you know, mashallah, like, you know, I pretty much appreciate the elders absolutely for sticking with us as well, because it brought us back to it, you know. And yeah, so obviously what happened for me personally is I took a break. Well, I'll say I took a break, but it's just it was a point where everybody started to, you know, follow humum in dunya and everything that is going on in the world. You start to work, and, you know, you just finish your studies, and yeah, you in that world now, you know, where you're a bit disconnected now, you know, from your community.
Let's bring Faisal. So tell us, Abu Faisal, about your experience at that time. Were you together? You guys are brothers, obviously, Faisal and Sami, for those who don't know you.
Yeah.
You're not
it's kind of similar, because obviously Sami's my brother, so we had it through like family invitation. I was younger at the time, so I think I was like 10 years old.
Yeah.
I started a bit after Sami, because I remember like.
Why do I think that you were twins? Why did I think that you were twins?
No, usually I look younger, but I think because the lockdown, the facial hair is growing, and you know, making me look older. Making me look older. But like, yeah, so I was about 10 years old, 11, just about finishing like primary school, and there was nothing. It was, we just heard like there was something at the time already that was happening for the older. So this was, I think it was like Rabita was doing football for like the older community, like not older, but like teenagers, and even the adults was playing football, like in Clapham Common. They was in a Sunday league. And then they got together to do it like youth work for the younger generation. That's when I came in. So I was about 10 years old. And then I just was told on Sunday, Sammy was like, come, we're going football. Let's go. You know, just took me along with him. And then I met a bunch of brothers, like Muslim Eritreans that I've never met before. Well, all of us live around the corner from each other. Someone's from Stockholm, someone's from Brixton, one person's from, you know, Oval, you know. So like, subhanAllah, that's how we kind of, and like Sammy said, this was before EMCA. This was before, there was no Eritrean masjid. Exactly. So, you know, I've told my cousin, let's go, you know, there's football on Sunday. So-and-so told their cousin, so-and-so. So we just, that's how it all started. That's how we all like integrated just once a week. Yeah. I remember my coaches were Khalid Abu Ahmed and Yusuf Abu Sahib. They were my coaches.
He's a big uncle.
Yeah.
MashaAllah. I believe he coached me as well, by the way.
Yeah.
Yeah,
that was the first coaches, I would say. They had a couple of coaches coming afterwards, but my first coaches was Khalid Abu Ahmed, Yusuf Abu Sahib, Kabire as well was coaching us in and out. Yeah. He was doing a lot of other like Rabata work. And then from there, obviously there was mukhayyams that we did once a year. And then that's what we kind of integrated a bit wider. People was coming from West London, North London, Birmingham.
Yeah.
So yeah, well, that was good because it was just like
it started kind of. It wasn't organized at the beginning. It was just like football, halaqa, a bit of this and that. It was from different activities. Rayyan, what's your memory about that as well?
I have a lot of memories. Like I don't know where to start, but I could start. I remember Al-Aqsa because I was born here. So my upbringing was different to Sami and Faisal. So I was in tune with the local community with football because I live next to a park.
Yeah.
But I never knew a lot of Eritreans.
Mm-hmm.
So it was quite different. So my dad told me on one Sunday, you're gonna go in Clapham. There's these Eritrean coaches because at the time I was going to a football club. It was somewhere in Tooting, but it was more of like an English football team. So it's like I didn't really what's the word? I fit in.
Okay.
So when I went Al-Aqsa, I remember it was a Sunday. I met Kabire, then I met a lot of brothers like Faisal. I remember Hamai. Those brothers like Akram, Yusuf. There was like, and to me it was like, wow, there's more Eritreans because growing up here, nobody knew Eritrea. So in school, if you were to say, I'm from Eritrea, they say, where is that? Nobody knew. So it's like, so then I was like, there's more kids that are like me that like, I live in London. So it became like a brotherhood, but my memories was like literally meeting Faisal, Kabire. So it was getting in tune with the community, knowing that Eritreans are doing a lot. And I didn't know that. So that's my like memories of Al-Aqsa.
Like,
and then now, subhanAllah, me, Sami, Faisal, we're like doing it now. We're like in Kabire's position and Yusuf and Khalid, like we was little kids. So now that to know that 15 years down the line, we are the ones that the kids are looking up to, subhanAllah, it's just beautiful. Yeah, so that's my memories, yeah.
That's why we're talking about it today, because it shows how time progressed and how you guys are now, mashallah, you're taking the position of the brothers who started with you. And this is amazing achievement. Usually we don't see this in every area of our activities with new generation who's been receiving the service to come and take the lead on the service. So when we're talking about joining the football in Clapham Junction, was it the same time as, so when you met Sami, Faisal and all these guys there?
Yeah, it was about the same time actually, because what happened was I was like my generation basically. What happened when we got to a point where everybody was, busy with life and, with work and family, home and so on. Kabir at the time said to me, oh, well, how do you feel going back and helping us coach, with Khalid Abu Ahmed? And I was like, yeah, of course, I don't mind. And at some point I was actually coaching Faisal and Rayyan with Abu Ahmed, we both were working together. So, and that was in Clapham Common Park. That's my early memories at the time. And what it was we were doing, there was quite a few bunch of group of them. I think there was about 15 odd people there at the time. And me with Abu Ahmed and Kabir's help, we used to train them. Afterwards, we used to take a break, pray. And after we go back, we continue. And obviously before we end, we used to give like a minute talk to them, just a reminder, why we're here. What we're trying to achieve, what's our goals, what is it so important to stick together. And so for me, that was at the time was my early days as coaching. So I was literally just picking up on on things and how they were passing on the training and how they were subhanAllah, passing on the message to the kids. That was my early memories.
So you guys, how many were you, like as a group after this stage where you met together, you started to play football together? Did you have the name Al-Aqsa? How did the name come up?
Al-Aqsa name came up actually with Al-Rabita. I mean, what it was, the Rabita basically, the guys, they sat down and obviously they wanted to give a name, for a team, a name that is strong, a name that it can last and it stands and it's got a meaning behind it, subhanAllah. And then obviously we at the time, a lot of people my age and the generation that's coming up as well, everyone question it. And obviously subhanAllah, there's a beautiful story behind it as well, Masjid Al-Aqsa, and it's something that it brings you a reminder, that's what the name is. Just it's a strong reminder to tell you, what we are as a community and what we represent, Deen and Islam and and the Sunnah and something that we abide by. And for younger generation coming up now, as they ask the question, we explain that to them, and then subhanallah, they pick it up and they share it with the with the team players and so on. Yeah.
I mean, when I see young kids, 8 years old now from the newer generation, they say, "I'm from Al-Aqsa. I'm Al-Aqsa." It's nice because now that something, and some even don't know how to pronounce it, but
yeah. I mean, you know what? We get a lot of people actually when they're coming and joining. Some do know what it means. Some of them they're like they can't even pronounce it. Like, what is that? What does that mean? Like, yeah.
To say something about Al-Aqsa and educate them about
absolutely, something. Yeah, and it's a historical place, and obviously we told even people, some parents who ever join in, even not being on a Muslim background, and they come and join in, we do tell them it's an historical name. Do look it up. It's something that we represent, and we basically include anyone. It's an open training field. So, alhamdulillah, they reciprocate that, and then they take that on.
I want to ask Faisal, how did this, you guys coming together, playing football, and then becoming part of the Rabita activities, and then slowly becoming into Al-Aqsa football team and so on. How did this help you to stay away from trouble? So, you guys, there are problems in the streets, drugs, knives, crimes, and so on. How did this help you stay away from all the trouble?
Yeah, well, like, subhanAllah, you know what it is? I think growing up in certain parts of like London, the youth nowadays, they need to be kept busy. That's the main thing I would say, like lack of resources and lack of, like guidance. You can easily just end up, with the wrong path. Like, because you go to school, your parents don't know what's going on once you leave the house. You go into school, they think you're in school, you're meeting, whoever you're meeting, and if you can get influenced easily, you might end up with the wrong group of friends. So alhamdulillah, like Al-Aqsa gave me the people that I needed to be around. It gave me the guidance. It kept me occupied. Because when you're young, you just want to have something to do. So from a young age, alhamdulillah, I started like Al-Aqsa when I was 10 years old. From then, I met like Rayan. Lots of other mashallah brothers that I'm still friends with till today, like that friendship, that brotherhood that we built from that core age growing up. You grow up with someone that they become like a lifelong friend. And they like the weekly football, the trips, the halaqas, that gave like us a platform to do good things, and also it gave the adults a way of keeping track of us, from the age of 10 years old to till you get 16, and when you're about to reach like basically an adult, they keep a track of you. So I would say that it helped me stay out of trouble like that. I wasn't forced or anything. It just gave me something that I can able to put my energy into.
Excellent. Yeah, what do you say about that? How did being a part of the Aqsa and that group, mashallah, good brothers, how did that help you stay away from trouble? Or have you been in trouble?
Alhamdulillah, your trained parents do not allow you to get into trouble. But like that basically, it just gave, like I said, it kept me busy. Like sports is a great tool to keep to keep children engaged, to keep the youth engaged. Alhamdulillah, like when you go to the masjid, start the Jum'ah, you've got that khutbah and stuff like that. The lectures is good, but sometimes you need to give a young person something that they enjoy. Football is something that a young person enjoys doing. It's a great way to just tell them, like, come, we're gonna play football, get into a tournament. So that's how I would say it helped me stay out of trouble. Not that I was necessarily in trouble, but it's what we use for our youth that we're training and we're coaching up. No,
that's fine. I was actually I wanted Rayan to come in and say something about that. How did that help you, Rayan, being part of that of the good group?
It kept me occupied always. So it was like life was like me growing up. My life was a bit systematic, thanks to my father, alhamdulillah. I used to go to school, and Monday to Friday, I used to attend Bala Mosque, and I was attending that for about 3 years. So I was always occupied. So I used to always go Balham Mosque from 5 o'clock until 7 o'clock. Saturday, I spend it with the family. And Sunday, it was like a system. I'm always at Clapham Common playing football, or if it's not playing football, we're either having a tournament, and it was like an activity. So Al-Aqsa was like a second school. So it sort of molds you. So it sort of puts you in like a system where it's like you have your brothers, you have your friends at school, of course, but you can't. They're just your friends at school. But the brothers we met through Al-Aqsa, it's like we're brothers because we're going camping together. We're going. I think it was Cardiff, right? That I used to go
right, yeah.
somewhere.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's like so thanks to Al-Aqsa, it always kept us busy growing up. Where you would hear stories of people in your school getting in trouble. They're in a gang. They're in this, but it's like we was always occupied, whether it's playing football or whether it's we're in the like a masjid. So it did keep us out of trouble growing up. Alhamdulillah, yeah.
Rayyan, so you said at first you're with non-Eritreans, maybe non-Muslims. Do you think it make a difference to be with a group that Muslims probably share a similar background? I mean, it doesn't have to be Eritrean necessarily, but it can be similar, or you share culture with. Do you think it does add something?
It is very important because the values they have is the same values you have, but it's like there's some people at school that were from a different culture, a different religion, different everything, and things they are allowed to do. For me, I was told that is wrong. So you always had to watch out who you're with. So it's like the simplest thing now. It's like everyone can like relate. In school, when it was someone's birthday, they used to always give you cake and snacks and crisp. You need to watch out if this crisp has pork in it, if this sweet has gelatin. But with Al-Aqsa, everyone's the same sort of thing. So it's like you can relate with like everyone. So you're just like brothers. So you could tell being in school when you're playing football in the park, and when you're playing football with your brothers, it's a whole other feeling. It's like family.
Oh, excellent.
Yeah, so it's like real. Yeah.
Sammy, what do you think? Have you been in that position where you shifted from a different group of like different backgrounds into the groups that you joined, Al-Aqsa and the football?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I live in Brixton, so you can imagine, in 2005 to 2010, it wasn't a place to be. There's a lot of crime, a lot of drugs, a lot of like stabbing, and you hear a lot of people die. And funny enough, it's like the local people that live here, they know who we are. Obviously, we live there. They know who I am, and it's like because I've been so occupied with Al-Aqsa and occupied, going to straight away finding a job, working straight away as soon as I finished school, got into a job, making my time busy, starting to do youth coaching. It did help deter me away from these things. And where I live, I mean, look, the kids that live around here is either they are stabbed, prison, died even, because you hear stories. And the funny thing is, it's like when you tell a person like, oh, I just spoke to him yesterday or the day before you know it, and it's like, yeah, man, this is the life of the streets. Then you realize something is like, they don't have any guidance, they don't have any solid direction. It's like, obviously you want to, it all starts from home anyhow, obviously it all starts from home, but at the same time, it's your friends or your peers are the ones to influence you of doing certain things. Do you know what I mean? And it's like, subhanallah, the deen and the Islam and the community around us, it does help us and deter us away from it. So personally for me, growing up, I mean, I had friends where I used to be friends with at school. After that, you just lost track of them. You don't know what happened. But then years later, you do see them again. You're like, oh, where have you been? Like, have you seen it? Well, yeah, I've been in prison for the last 5 years. It's like, whoa, it's shocking, subhanallah. But alhamdulillah, al-Islam and al-Deen and for our community to be there and, to help us and to guide us. But yeah, it is tough. And I kid you not, I think even now it's becoming even more tougher. It's becoming even more harder. With the powers of the internet and the easy accessibility to have all these social platforms, people are able to engage with people much faster, much quicker. and you are able to basically, that can lead you astray if you don't use those platforms in the correct way, you know. And yeah, so what can I say is, like, we do need a community center. We do need somewhere, a base where, you know, subhanAllah, we can have activities, we'll be able to have talks, we'll be able to have some sort of engagement to keep our youth, you know. It's good and well that we have a Al-Aqsa on the Sunday, but I believe we can still do more, you know, especially in these times that we live in now. I mean, obviously minus the pandemic that's going on. It's something that, you know, early or end of last year, early this year, you hear a lot of people at the age of 18, 17 getting into a lot of trouble, you know. Good brothers. I mean, I've been coaching certain kids, and you hear these things and you be like, oh,
I want to come to
yeah.
that a little bit later, Sammy.
Okay.
When you talk, I want to listen to more of what you're saying. But we will come to that, inshallah, later. But Faisal, tell me about also, I know you are the younger generation. Was it also for you a difference being with brothers who share the same values, same, well, let's say, culture? Being with non-Muslims, I'm not saying here not to have friends as non-Muslims or to have, but I'm asking you guys about your experience.
No, I think you know, like, being in a group with like-minded people does have some positive effects, you know. Because like, similar to what Ryan was saying, you sharing the same values as someone, you know, you sharing the same values, you want to do the right thing, basically. So like, when I was in Al-Aqsa, what they used to do, it was, although it was mainly focused on sport, they used to give da'wah as well, you know. And being a group, you know, having da'wah done with a group of people, like-minded people, you feel like you're now, it's like you're, you know, you've been put in a position where I need to be a good person, you know, like they've given me all of the things I need to learn now. And you're getting to an age where you're growing up, you know what's right, you know what's wrong, you know. So that definitely, having like-minded people definitely is a good thing. I used to look up to the coaches as if they were basically they're like my parents, you know. So I would say having like-minded people definitely sharing the same values is good, you know. Like, although I'm not, like, you're right, people, they might not have the same like-minded, they don't mean they're going to lead you astray or be bad, but of course, like, having like-minded people who share the same value definitely has some positive effects out of that.
Excellent. Okay, good. Let's talk about you guys becoming, at some point, maybe interested in becoming leaders and becoming coaches. How did that start?
It's a good question.
Yeah, how was the beginning? What triggers you to become youth workers, or let's say coaches? What do you call yourself, by the way? Coaches, yeah?
Yeah, I would say I'm a football coach / youth worker.
Okay. Likewise.
You know,
coach / mentor.
Mentor. Okay, so many things in one, yeah?
Definitely. I'll go first with that one.
Okay.
It wasn't really planned for me personally. It's kind of like, I was always, you know, I was never really the quiet child, shy. I was always involved in everything, you know.
I remember you, Faisal.
I was involved. Whenever there was anything that was going around, alhamdulillah, like, me personally, I enjoyed all the aspects of, you know, the work that was there, like the camping trips that we done, just like the field trips, the coaching, knowing that I'm going to be meeting, like, seeing, you know, Ryan, Saeed, Muhammad, you know, Mustafa, all my friends, like that. I enjoyed that, you know. This is why I felt like when EMCA was done, it was like, oh, this is like a great establishment that was happening for us, you know. That means there's going to be more of this. So I was involved a lot in all of that. And subhanAllah, you know, like, you get to a certain age where, you know, you start gaining responsibilities. Now you got to focus on your studies. You know, you finish college, you want to get into a good university, you might go outside London. People slowly start to focus on themselves, kind of thing, you know. And like, I was in London, I stayed in London, I didn't travel outside. So as I was getting older and I was more involved, I just saw it as, like, you know, an opportunity for me to give back to the community that was giving, you know, that was helping me when I was growing up. So I just kind of happened to stumble upon it. Sammy was doing the coaching already. My uncle was one of the coaches, and it was just like, Faisal, you want to just volunteer? You know, I used to volunteer in the camping trips. volunteering the field trips. So just me volunteering just happened for me to just become a coach myself. I thought, you know what, let me just take action, let me take responsibility. I'll coach the team that I was in. It just happened for me just like that, subhanAllah. But definitely I would say that I feel lucky, I feel privileged to be able to give back to, you know, the community, because it gives me like a sense of like you accomplished something, you know. Giving back always makes you feel like you've accomplished something good. So like it was never really planned, it just kind of happened.
And you can see kids who probably you have memories of you yourself being the time when you were the little kid after, and now you can see these kids, so you can
you see them, you see I've been coaching now I think for about 3.5 years. So when I was coaching, I was volunteering as an assistant coach for Sammy. This is how I started, just as an assistant coach, you know. And then as I just started to learn more about like coaching and started gaining more confidence, I was able to coach my own team. They were about 6 years old at the time, you know. And now
you started training 6 years old, yeah?
Yeah, I was at 6 years old, and I'm with the same group now. And now they're 9.5, 10 years old.
Wow, so they've been with you for 3 years.
3.5 years, you know. I've actually seen them
grow. We'll talk about them and your relationship with them, but let's go one at a time. Also, Sami and Rayan, tell me more about how you started the idea. How did the idea come to you? Tell us more.
Okay, how I started, I have to go back to when I actually started with Al-Aqsa when I was a youth. So when I joined Al-Aqsa as a youth, I recall I was around 9. I was like 9 years of age. But then I was there for about, I think, a year or 2, no, 2 years, and then I left the country. Everybody knows I went to Egypt from the age of 12, and I came back at the age of 16. But it was a thing where everyone that I was playing with, like even I first can tell you, everyone got to the age now where everyone's at college, everyone's trying to find a job. So Al-Aqsa sort of was on hold. There wasn't any more training or anything. So I recall it was around 2016. My little brother, he started playing for Al-Aqsa. I remember it was Sami, it was Kabire, and I think it was Khalid, and it was another brother, but I don't recall. They like started it off, and I remember one day my dad told me to collect my little brother. So I was like, okay. I went to local park, and when I saw the amount of kids, I was like, subhanAllah, it's like it just brought back memories. I was like, it started off in Clapham Common. I recall this was around, I don't know, 2003, 2004. It was just, I think when it started, there was about maybe 20, 30 of us. But I think now the numbers have gone over 100. So subhanAllah, it's like fantastic. And it's like, everyone that's there is sort of related to someone that used to play for Al-Aqsa. So it's like, for example, I've had maybe 4 or like 5 cousins join the team. Faisal as well has got cousins and everyone. So it's like, so it started off just collective, my little brother every a Sunday. And then I saw Faisal because Sami was like coaching. Faisal was like quite involved. And then I got the opportunity to come and just assist, just help out. And then it was like, I was assisting for about a year. And then me and Faisal got our team, then we got our qualifications. And it's like, before you know it, 2-3 years have gone by and you've built a like fantastic bond with the kids. Like I remember Faisal said, when they were 6, like you see the kids develop. Like when they first start, they can't even control a ball. And then the next year they could control a ball, then they could shoot. So it's like, you see the kids grow up. And for us to coach the same group from the age of 6 till about 9, it's like, wow, it's like, wallah, it's like amazing.
Amazing.
Yeah, so that's like how I sort of got into it, just like picking up my little brother, yeah. That's how I got back into it.
MashaAllah. Sami, tell us about the memory of joining and becoming a coach.
Yeah, do you know how it all started for me personally? It was me personally, like I used to love playing football. I was crazy about football. I was just like, whatever I get a chance to play, I used to go and play. And mashallah, the Rabita Shabab, they used to organize games midweek, like Wednesday afternoon, and they used to play. And I was eager, like, yeah, let me play. I want to play, you know. I was like maybe the youngest person there, you know, comparison to them, and I was just there playing. And And then they used to play every Sunday morning as well at times. And I'm like, yeah, I'm there as well. I'm playing. So I was like, literally just any opportunity I see to play football, I just play. And not only with them, obviously, I've got other groups that I play with.
Yeah.
And one, mashallah, Kabiri and Abu Ahmed Khalid, he told me, look, do you want to come and volunteer? Since you know so much about football and exercise, and you know what because I've been doing it for so many years. I've been like through trials, I've been through clubs, academies. I've been like training and playing with them. Sadly, didn't make it professional, but you know, just learned the knowledge and the education from there. And obviously, when they said, "Oh, do you mind volunteering?" and I was like, "Yeah, of course." And they're like, "Oh, would you mind sort of hold to this group and do exercises with them?" And then they just left me to it. And everything that I learned on my time, you know, playing football, doing training and going all of these academies, I was like, oh, okay. So I started to train and I started to coach them. And then it comes to a point where it's become a satisfaction when I'm like, oh, okay, cool. I'm guiding these kids now. So it's come to a point where I'm like, I'm doing it. And then it's got to the kids enjoying it even more. And then they asked me, oh, would you want to come back again? I was like, yeah, sure, I'll come back. That's not a problem. So I started to come back and become more regular. And then obviously it was a period of time where I disappeared. I went away, you know, with school and work and, you know, other engagements, and that just sort of, you know, threw me off. And then I was completely out of it for at least about 4 to 5 years. And then and this was all Clapham Common at the time. And now that I had them moved to Larkhill Park. So they told me, oh, Sam, if you're still around, if you still, you know, if you feel like to train and so on. I was like, yeah, because I haven't done it in a while. Basically, what happened was I ride a motorcycle and I had a motorcycle accident in 2010, which I fractured my foot. So you can imagine for me to recover from that, it took me 2 years. So there was no exercise, no football or anything at all. That was in 2010. So finally, after, you know, physiotherapy and everything else, I'll go back to my feet, say by late 2012, early 2013. And obviously start to get back into exercise and start to get back into the football regime sort of thing. And then afterwards, I had these guys are still training. I was like, oh, wow, they're still doing it. I would come and watch them. So I came to watch a few Sundays, and afterwards they were saying, oh, would you want to come and volunteer sort of thing? I was like, yeah, absolutely. Then I picked it up back again. And then from there on, it was just, yeah, from 2011, I would say I picked it back on again. No, sorry, from 2014, 15, we picked it up again.
Excellent, excellent, mashallah. Okay, I want to play a video showing an Aqsa football team and Larkhill Park, and so that people see really what we're talking about. So we're going to watch this short video, inshallah, and then we're going to continue.
Inshallah.
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 What's your name? How old are you, Hassan? And what team do you play for? Mashallah, he's enjoying it and the behavior is changing, mashallah. So why did you decide to become a coach? I love football and it's my number one hobby, and I've been playing football since I was the age of 7. And also I'm a professional referee.
Sorry, was the video showing anything?
No, I would say it was just stuck on.
Subhanallah. Okay.
Yeah,
So
I think the video froze.
the video froze. Yes, that's the thing. We'll try to play again, inshallah. Hopefully this time we'll.
Hi, what's your name? How old are you, Hassan? And what team do you play for?
Okay, seems the video is not really playing as we're expecting, but I just wanted to show maybe at least a clip But maybe we can do that later, inshallah, if it is not ready for now. طيب. So you guys tell us, give us the information. How many
Also, I'm a professional referee since 2010 years. And I want to give something to the youth, our kids, our community. Football is not just playing football. You learn a lot of things.
Yeah, we can still hear the video in the background. Oh, actually, stop now. Yeah.
Area, so it's all together in one package. Football is just a tool to get all the youth together. The picture we got start to be inshallah. It's not only about football, it's about da'wah and also da'wah is very important. So assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi
to play the video very well. Sorry for that. It was just, probably the connection wasn't best. But you guys give us the information so that people understand what are the numbers, because I wanted to show the kids playing in the park, also just show the numbers. How many kids train every week? Every Sunday, yeah?
Every we have between, let's say, 40 to 50 kids. That's minimum. But usually we have over 100 actual kids subscribed to the club. Now, on a normal day, we probably would say is we get about 70 to 80 kids.
70 to 80 every Sunday.
Every Sunday, yeah. On a normal day, the minimum we ever had was about 50. So, and then what we did is we divided them into 6 groups. So 6 groups with 6 different age groups. So starting the age from 6 to 67, that's one group, and then it goes all the way up until 15.
So 6 groups, but so the gap is like a year between.
Correct, yeah. It's a year in the gap in between. So we have one group is say 6 to 7, another one 7 to 8, then you've got 9 to 10, 11 to 12, 13 to 14, and 15 is together.
Inshallah. What age do you train, Sami?
Now for the last 2 years I'm training the youngest group. The age from 6 to 7. 2 years prior to that, I was dealing with the older group, with the 16-year-olds actually. So we used to have a 16-year-olds, which I was with them for the last 3 years prior having to being with the younger ones. What it was with the 16-year-olds, we entered a league. So we was in a league. And so what it was, we used to do frequent training. We used to do twice a week training with them. We entered a Sunday league, and we used to do training on Saturdays as well. And what happened was they were going through their GCSE period time. So it kind of sort of affected them able to attend training and able to attend to the mandatory exams and so on. And then afterwards, after that, say the age of 17, that group basically entered colleges, and they went, and surprisingly they didn't have enough time to continue with the league or to come back to training. So we just sort of told them, if that's the situation is, then we keep a social network with them. We meet up once a month as a group, catch up with each other, see how everyone's doing, anything anyone can relate in the studies or and a lot of them, to be honest, now they're working. They're 17 now actually. Yeah, so a lot of them working.
Last 2 years you've been training the 6 to 7 years.
It's been for the last 2 years.
Right. How about Ayan and Faisal? What are you training? What age?
So my age group, me and Ryan's our age group, we started as, obviously, like we said, they were under 6 years old. Right. Now they're under 10s. Now that they're under 10s, we've been with the same group.
So you're training one group basically together, yeah?
Exactly, yeah. So when you have a large, because we had quite a large group, about when we was doing it under 6s, on a good day we'd get about 30, So as you can imagine, it's quite a large group. So we used to basically just both of us take responsibility for the whole group.
Yeah, because of the number, you need two people to
exactly. Yeah.
Right. So how is your relationship with them? I want to start with Sami because talking about the really young age. What do they first call you, Sami? Do they call you Ammo? Or...
Yeah, no, they call me Ammo actually. Yeah, they call me. They're making me feel old, you know.
I remember you calling me and the other brothers Ammo, so now you've been called Ammo, huh?
Yeah, subhanallah. You know, the thing was, I said, I still call you Ammo.
Relationship.
Now, subhanallah, the relationship is amazing with those kids. You know, subhanallah. It's because I've got kids myself, so I've got I've got two kids, alhamdulillah. I've got a 4-year-old daughter and a 1.5-year-old boy. So yeah, so and it's like when I'm training in these young kids now, subhanallah, is like their brain is like a sponge, you know, and they pick everything that you say, and they always want to do better, so they always want to improve, you know. So when you're able to speak to them, you kind of sort of speak to them like a young adult because they understand everything that's going on, you know, subhanallah, especially in this day and age. So you're more or less not trying to babyfy them, and you just want to be and you be frank and direct with them, and you tell them, look, this is what we're doing today, this is the exercise, you know, and this is everybody's position where you're going to be. They listen, they understand, you know. You might get the odd one or two that might need a bit more time, which is totally understandable. You'll get that at that young age, not everyone at the same level. So
does your relationship go beyond just a coach, like just
yeah, I mean, with that, it's an interesting point because a lot of the kids, when you see them troubled or something, I do speak to the parents. So me and the parents will obviously get in touch, and I just say to them, oh, I felt like today he was not at his best. Is he okay? Is he all right? How's his school, kind of sort of thing. So we sort of build that relationship now with them beyond that, beyond football, because there are some times when you have kids that haven't been showing up for a period of time. So you reach out to the parents and you explain to them, oh, is everything okay? Is it all right? You know, is what's the matter? And you get obviously mixed answers as well. You know, sometimes at that young age, they're not into football, but the parents want them to come and integrate and be around those type of, you know, the environment, you know. And it's not easy because some of them, because this is all about football, sometimes you have to turn it. And what we do is, especially my group, is we do a lot of games, like interaction kind of games. So it can be a little bit football related at that young age, to get them all together, to make them feel comfortable, that they look forward for it to come the following week. So
you speak to the parents from time to time, yeah?
Oh, absolutely, yeah.
Okay, good. How about you, Rayan?
Assalamualaikum, guys.
Do you enjoy your
Sami, Faisal, can everyone hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you, but there was a bit of, I think that the line wasn't that good, but yeah.
Sorry, guys, معلش. Sorry, guys, my signal's not so good, but I need to exit the chat because I need to go pick up my car from the garage now. The mechanic's gonna close. Sorry, guys, wallah. Sorry, guys. I love to sit here and talk. I've got so many stories to tell about Al-Aqsa, but معلش, guys, sorry.
That's fine.
So yeah. Okay then, خلاص طيب. Salam, guys. Everybody take care. Everyone stay safe, please.
Yalla, salam
alaikum.
Yeah, salam, guys. Myself. Bye-bye.
And you be happy, inshallah. All right. Faisal, tell us about the relationship with these kids. How is it? Do you enjoy it first? Do you like to talk to them and know about what's going on with their life and so on?
Yeah, I mean, you basically, you can see a bit of a son of them, you know. I've been in their shoes before, so you know, like when in school, the area that they're growing up with, you know, Al-Aqsa, it's all experiences that I've shared. So, you know, it's like mentoring, isn't it?
Yes.
So I do enjoy it. I enjoy it a lot. I like to give my take to what they are, and the kids are so smart. Wallah, subhanallah, you'd think that just because they're like under 10 years old, that they're just young and stuff, but they're much more intelligent. I think this day and age, the kids are much more intelligent than when we was under 10 and ever. They act like they don't know everything, but trust me, they know so much. So you know, I just talk to them. You know, I just talk to them. you know, when we basically ask them questions, what you guys get up to during this week, you know, when they have holidays, how was your holidays? Just get to know more about them, you know, and you can kind of tell if they're going through, you know, if they're happy, if they're not happy, they will let you know. So, you know, definitely enjoy it.
The picture, Faisal, is this your team?
Yeah, I can see the picture. So basically, this is a mixture. You know, we've got them lined up here. This is how we basically start the coaching session. You know, when they all come in, when it's time to get started, we get them to line up into their groups.
Right.
So this is two coaches, just Sami there, and that's Saeed. That was Saeed as well. He's one of the previous coaches that was their former Al-Aqsa coach. And just getting them organized, getting them ready, getting their, you know, heads focused, start the day. So you can see we've got quite a large groups, and this is a mixture of age groups as well. So I believe here, this is the ones wearing the red. At the times, they were about 10 years old, maybe.
Okay. That's correct, yeah.
Yeah, 10 years old, maybe. And then the ones in yellow are probably the ones that were older. They probably were about 11 or 12.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Amazing.
Yeah.
MashaAllah. I can see they're happy, they enjoy the time they spend there. It's just, mashallah. It's great to see them also with people who are close to the age. I mean, it's different than when there are people like, you know, my age or like Ammu Kabire. We passed that generation.
Nah, not at all, man. You know, still, mashallah. You know, we got a lot to learn from you, so we do want you.
You being close to them, I think it makes a big difference as well, because it relates a lot. You speak the same, you know, the way they speak, and you know a lot about what they know in terms of, you know, the culture, what's going on. So, how is your conversation with them? How do you have, like, other than coaching and so
on? So basically, I'm quite close. Yeah, I want to say I'm very close to the age, a bit closer than you, but my conversation with them is literally just like I just take them on the morning as if they're like my little brothers. So I just basically, my conversation with them is literally, how was your week? You know, what have you been up to? How's school? What you've been getting up to? You know, and obviously some kids are more engaged than others, but that's natural. You know, everyone's got different levels of maturity, interests, and things like that. So you do have to spend some more time with other kids, but it's literally just like, you know, open relationship.
Yeah.
So that's how it is for me, really. And once you're with them for so much, you kind of get to know them anyways. Yeah. So I can see if they're in a good mood when they come in, or if they're not, if they're upset, I can tell straight away. And then that's when I know, like, okay, let me speak to you. What's like what's happening? You know, it's a nice you're getting to know them properly. You know.
Excellent. Sami, do you advise people and young people to do the things that you guys are doing?
Absolutely, yeah, no, definitely. It's because what it is, it gives them some sense of responsibility. You know, like this year, we had one of the 17-year-olds I used to coach. So one of the 16-year-olds. He just turned 18 this year, okay? And he's actually joined my group. I asked him to come back. I said, if you've got time on Sundays, what are you up to? You know, like, are you working? He's like, no. So I said, no, come then. Give me a support if you can. And he came, him and his cousin, actually. There was two of them. So they came round and they joined me for training. So they was with me, helping me deal with the 6-year-olds. And so they've been with me for 1 year. Sadly, one decided that wasn't for him. I thought, that's fine, no problem. The other one continued, and so we sent him to a level 1 training course. We did safeguarding, first aid training for engage with children, how to communicate and how to. So it was the case of having that training, they're able to come back and continue with us. So, and I did that with a lot of my sort of those age group, 17-year-olds now. They're 17 now, but try to bring them back. You know, a lot of them they ain't got much going on. You know, like, so I'm trying to see if I can get them to come back, and they do. So, and it's a sense of responsibility for them.
What do you think of the role of parents? Do you think parents should be part of this? They should be involved in this. They should be. What do you think of the role of the parents in the whole thing?
The role of the parents is absolutely key. You know, having the parents be at the training field and watching the kids train, it gives the kids a sense of, you know, they want to impress their parents, you know, because, you know, I guarantee you after they finish their training, they probably sitting in the car telling their parents, oh, dad, I did this, oh, I did that, I passed this person and I scored this and that. But the parents are not there to see it, you know. Having the parents' influence to be there, and as they training and they know the parents are watching, the one that builds their confidence.
So
Absolutely.
You have parents who come regularly and watch their children, fathers mainly, I'm talking about, obviously. You have them coming regularly, and Sami, I don't know if you can hear me.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I can hear you. Yeah. So for the 6-year-olds, definitely, a lot of the parents, they intend to stick around, you know, because they're quite young, and you know, being in that environment for the first time and with all the other kids, it can be a bit intimidating for them. So the parents definitely stick around for that age group. A lot of them, they do, and they sort of help you. The kids, they might be a bit shy, they might be a bit like nervous. They got so it is a big role having the parents there for sure.
Good. How about Faisal? Do you feel when the parents are around, does it make any difference? Do you see this effect on the children themselves, or when their parents are around?
Absolutely. I think having the parents around is really motivating for the children. You know, just like them being there, they, you know, like kids, they want to be able to show off what they've been doing. You know, they want to show, you know, like their improvement, because the kids know when they do something good, the kids, you know, they feel like they're developing, and that they you can see the excitement, and it's nice to share that with, you know, like with if their dad is there, if their mom is watching, that's giving them motivation. Oh, let me show my mom what I can do, let me show my dad what I can do. So definitely, you know, like a lot of parents, that when they're there, they watch the child train, you can see that instantly that child is, you know, like really pushing himself, because he knows that his dad's watching, his mom's watching, you know. So like the more parents that's there, keeps the kids engaged, keeps them, you know, motivated, and, you know, they really get into it, they really get involved. So it's really good, you know.
MashaAllah, excellent. And you guys are also obviously trying to engage more young people to continue to do the good job that you're doing. So you're still speaking to people at the age of 16, 17, 18. Are you trying to keep this going? How you doing this, and what's the response that you get from these? I know Sami mentioned maybe a case or two, but in general, what is the idea behind this? Are you trying to bring everyone back?
Absolutely. I mean, obviously, in the long term, is definitely to bring them back at some point, you know, because we're not going to be there forever, you know, and we need someone that's able to understand our work and carry it. So if you have them from a young age, even if, let's say, for a short period of time, you know, for 2 years, 3 years, and then let's say, for example, they go off and they do something else, and that little 2-3 years they've been with us, that will be an experience they're not going to forget. And when you do reach out to them at some point in time and say, oh, you interested to come back and help us out, they'll jump to the chance when they can, sort of thing. And having that from early, I believe it does help and pave the way for us long term. Because the moment you leave them, I say at the age of 15 or 16, and they leave and they don't sort of, you know, we don't stay in touch, we don't engage with them anymore, this will be like a distant memory for them, you know, and this is something that we try not to encourage. So that's what I've been, you know, speaking with the other coaches, is like, let's bring these kids back. They might, as volunteers, of course, they might not be the best coaches, but we can make them the best they can be. You know, that's what we're here for, to mentor them, to show them the way, how to engage, how to identify any issue the kids have, how to communicate with them. And personally, like for me, I mean, I learned that all from Ammu, you know, and this is how I picked it up. So
of them is Ammu Salah or...
Oh, I mean, I've got enough fingers to count them. Wallahi, subhanallah, there's a lot of them. Wallahi, you know, I picked up all sorts of, you know, information from them.
I'm Abu Rawan, all of them, mashallah. I mean, I haven't been coming to the park for some time, but of course they're all,
Yeah,
mashallah.
now mashallah, Abu Rawan and Salah Abu Umaima, these guys, they've been with the team for over 10 years, and they know they were one of my mentors. You know, they coached me to bring me to where I am today. So there's a lot of experience from them.
Mashallah, these guys, they've been doing work for years and years and years. I mean, at least the earlier or as far as I can go, maybe 20 years at least.
Absolutely, yeah.
Amazing job, mashallah, and still until today they continue to do the good job. I want to ask Faisal, almost ending, inshallah. I don't want to keep everyone for long. Faisal, tell me, what is the difference between, because you're starting with kids at 6 years old.
Yeah.
Why is that? Why not just get them when they're 13, 14, whatever? What's the difference? How does that impact their life and so on?
I think getting them to, be in touch with their community from a young age is really good. And me personally, I started when I was 10 years old. I was a bit younger than Sammy. So I think that was a really good age for me, building a bond with someone from the age of 10 till I'm about 16, 17. That is, that is the crucial age in development for, from being from a child to a young adult. That is definitely key, that's the friends that you're going to keep with you for a long time. That's the thing that anything you learn at those ages, I feel you keep that with you for pretty much the rest of your life, So from even getting them younger, from the age of 6, that's cementing, some great skills to them, like motivation, communication, even you could even take it down to like anger management issues, things like this, having this from such a young age, outside of from just like school and home, you don't know what other extracurricular activities they do, so like even if it's just 2 hours a week, so much key things that they can learn from such a young age. Definitely is really good,
That's what I want to ask Sammy about, the skills other than knowing how to play football. I mean, what are the other skills that they learn? Are you there, Sammy?
Other skills they learn is other skills they're learning is actually on able to encourage each other. That's one of the main things, is because sometimes what happens is when they see a child is doing better than the other one, they'll be like, oh, he's not that good, or he's not that, and the other child obviously they will take that emotion and on board. So some of the skills to train the kids to do is amongst themselves. You need to have like a leader, a captain. Let's say, for example, every week, what I will do is I'll split them into the group and I'll give every single one a specific job to do. Okay. And how they do it is they say, I want you to do X, Y, Z for me, where you'll be able to perform this certain exercise. And what it is, you see them, they're taking the ownership and they want to basically exceed. So having the children able to communicate amongst themselves without any fear, without any sort of holding back, it's fantastic to see that to happen. But that comes with practice. So to gain them confidence is literally able to communicate with each other, able to say certain things that they can actually abide by it, and then you just give them that responsibility. And trust me, if you don't do that now, it's like in the long run they'll be so depending on certain things. So you always give them that responsibility from as early as
so much. I think they gain so much. They gain so much, social skills, like communicating with other people. Confidence is another one that they gain. When they get older, they are now, they're not afraid to, especially like what Sammy said, when you give them a responsibility, you say, I want you to be my captain. I want you to tell your team who's their positions. Things like that gives them, now they're able to speak publicly, little things, this is like planting a seed, planting a seed from a young age. And as they get older, that's when they don't even know that this is something that they've learned that without it, they wouldn't have, SubhanAllah. So much skills, so much key things that you can get just from, meeting every week, playing football, and, the things that you can get from that.
MashaAllah, excellent. You guys, well, I enjoyed talking to you. It was amazing. And on the poster we put from kids to youth workers, And you took us through the, subhanallah, the journey, how you started. And mashallah, now the way you're talking about how important it is to start from young age, the skills that they learn, keeping them away from trouble, mashallah. So now we can see that you're really giving back to the community. What is the last thing you want to say, maybe to the kids? Maybe some of them are your boys.
Now, what I would want to say is keep up the hard work. I know we are in a difficult times right now. This is also something myself and the coaches were talking about, actually, to do something now at this time period, because we don't want to stop the training now due to, you know, what's going on. We're trying to think of different ways, of different methods that we can do. So maybe we're going to do something like a Zoom online training, or a Zoom sort of get the kids together, some sort of thing to keep them occupied as well, because obviously we don't want to lose that communication at all. But definitely keep the exercises going, you know, stay healthy, stay fit. We're definitely going to meet again, inshallah, one day at the park, and then we just, inshallah, we resume back as normal. That's my message. Jazak'Allah Khairan as well.
Yeah, okay. Hope you all having a good Ramadan, inshallah. You know, obviously it's been a long time, but so we're going to be together very shortly, just to stay healthy, stay safe, you know, keep fit, listen to your parents. This is the same thing I'm telling them that every week, but it's pretty much the same thing. Everything I taught you, now is the time to put into action. And inshallah, obviously we'll meet each other soon, and stay tuned because there's going to be more to come, inshallah.
Excellent. Jazakumullah khair, brothers. I wanted to bring some of your coaches. I wanted to bring Brother Kabir in, but I think he's a bit shy to come out. And I know we mentioned his name, mentioned the name of the other brothers. So many people, and some we did not mention the names. It doesn't mean that, subhanAllah, we undermine the role, but it's just, this is not about mentioning names or anything.
Yeah.
We know, mashallah, many people are doing a great job. And always we say, if people don't know your name, Allah knows you, Allah knows what you're doing. It's all about you doing something for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and Allah Azza wa Jal give you the reward. It's never been about having your name, you know, being said that so-and-so has done so-and-so. But we know there are people who are doing a great job. Jazakumullah khair, Faisal, Sami, and Rayan as well. It was great talking to you guys. And maybe we can
really great idea.
Soon, inshallah, in the park.
Yeah,
inshallah.
Inshallah.
Inshallah. Jazakumullah khair. Barakallah fikum.
Jazakallah.